will be Mr. Lalith Edirisinghe and Sarath Jayatileke. So they are going to make a presentation regarding the research titled Frontier Logistics Performance in Sri Lanka, the role play of the customers. So I would like to invite those two researchers to make their presentation. Mr. Lalith Edirisinghe from Scenic Maritime Campus, City Branch, Colombo. The presenter has 10 minutes for the presentation and then 5 minutes for the questions and answers. So altogether one will have 15 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here to present on this subject. Mr. Sarath Jayatileke, the former Director General of Sri Lanka Customs, actually is not in the country at the moment, so he will not be participating in the session today. So I will present the entire session on behalf of both the presenters. So our subject that we have chosen for this paper is Frontier Logistics Performance in Sri Lanka, the role play of the customs. To give a brief preamble for the session, rather this paper, first we look at the globalization where countries need to cross the borders, and then in order to do that, the logistics performance would be the key in crossing the borders. And customs, as we all know, play the major role, and it would be the key determinant in the logistics performance and its ranking in a particular country. The objective of this paper to assess the role played by customs, for in this case customs, Sri Lanka Customs, in the current logistics context, and explore how revised Kyoto Convention help design and operation of a modern and efficient customs administration. Then thirdly, to propose how customs reform, modernization, or rather re-engineering achieved through recommendation of revised Kyoto Convention. So in this particular study, we have analyzed 3 types of indices. One is connecting to complete reports and doing business reports of World Bank and International Finance Corporation. And thirdly, the Global Competitiveness Report of the World Economic Forum. Why we have decided to look at three types of indices is that we noticed these are perceptions of the international trade. So there are different interpretations or rather rankings in three of these indices. And then we went on to the primary data collection we have selected 3 industry personnels and 2 senior officers of Sri Lanka Customs and the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. Although Mr. Jayatileke, the co-author, was the former Director General of Customs, we wanted to have an unbiased view of the present situation in Sri Lanka Customs. And then we referred the revised Kyoto Convention and World Customs Organization reports. The significance of this selecting these indices is that the logistic performance is the key in maritime, aviation and commercial hub concepts that Sri Lanka is currently working ahead in the 5 hub concept of Sri Lanka, according to the Mahinda Chintana Edirisinghe. Sri Lanka needs more investments in this path, and these investors usually refer to the logistic performance indicators, that's what we call in shorten from LPIs, including customs, because these LPIs definitely needs to look at the customs performance when you are working in 2 borders, or rather more than 2 borders. If you refer the first one, the Connecting to Compete report, you can see customs is one of the key component out of 6 LPI components. It refers to the efficiency of clearance process between 2 borders, and namely the speed, simplicity and the predictability of formalities. You know, sometimes when a consignee goes for his clearance, there are new rules have been adopted. So the people who go for clearance has to first study that, and by that time the cargo has already been shipped and he has already received the documents according to the informations or rather instructions that they have previously got. So this predictability of formalities are also important. You can see from this to 2010 to 2012, the performance of Sri Lanka Customs, there seems a vast improvement from 143rd position to 71 position. This is the same case with LPI ranking in Sri Lanka as well. We were at 137th position out of 155 countries in 2010, and we have improved it to 81st position in 2012 report. Then the next one is the Doing Business report. There also you can see in 2008 out of 178 countries we were at number 60, and in 2013 out of 185 countries we are there at 56th position. And in that, trading across borders are considered based on the document necessary for import and exports, time required for import and exports, and cost required importing or exporting. These are all including the customs clearance and customs performance. This is how the global competitiveness indicators reports about Sri Lanka. You can see the last one, the burden custom burden of custom procedures. In 2013, we have improved to the 59th position out of 144 countries. Compared to 2008, we were at 71 out of 134 countries, but you can see some other indices are not in favor. The role of customs in the world continues to evolve. Therefore, the officials of customs represent the government, who represent the government. They facilitate and regulate international trade and to achieve national policy objectives that they are supposed to do those things through the strategic risk management, compliance management, and change management. All these three are relatively weak in many developing countries. Therefore, custom reform, modernization, or re-engineering considered a priority, especially a country like Sri Lanka, where we have out of 5 hub concepts, 3 hub concepts are based on logistic performances. And the private sector inputs need to be included in this process to achieve full benefit, because they are, at the end of the day, who receives the customs services. And if you take the receiver as a customer, customs is the service provider. So the service provider should know what their customer needs. Based on the revised Kyoto Convention, which is the base of customs administration, there are few areas I have considered. One is the transparency and the predictability of customs actions, simplified procedures for authorized persons, maximum use of information technology. In the 2013 Doing Business report, World Bank has commended Sri Lanka's performance with respect to Esiguda World implementation in Sri Lanka. Then the partnership with the trade. This is something that I explained a little while ago regarding customer and the service provider. Coordinated interventions with other border agencies. Custom is not the border management agency of a country when you are crossing borders. There are many other agencies involved in that. For an example, standards, and then if there are any materials that involve with defense, you need the Defense Ministry approval. So that way there are various other institutions involved in the border management. Then the use of risk management and audit-based control. A customs in a country cannot check all the consignments coming into the country. There should be a way of auditing. Maximum necessary controls to ensure compliance with regulation in whatever the case may be, whether you can check or whether you cannot check the consignments. There should be a control of a country which is coming in and which is going out. Standardization and simplification of the goods, declarations and supporting documents. So these are the areas that has been considered in the revised Kyoto Convention. So what is the way forward for Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka expects a rapid increase in logistics activities. It is happening at the moment, and it will continue to happen. And proportionate increase in resource customs not feasible. I explained this earlier. And we have previous experiences from United States and we can make use of those case studies. And this is the risk management process that I have proposed in my paper. How can we make use of the revised Kyoto Convention? And we have to establish fully functional custom officers, because we are getting more airports, more seaports, more dry ports are coming up, so we need competent people to work there and maintain the formal consultation relationship, as I informed earlier, and accept payment duties and taxes in forms of other than cash. In Sri Lanka, it's only cash that you can pay your taxes or duties. Not even a credit card is accepted by Sri Lanka Customs. And custom to adapt modern system to obtain pre-arrival information of goods. And the examination has to be expedited, and ensure that inspections by all government agencies are coordinated. As I told you, there are different border management agencies that all has to be coordinated and work together. And in some cases, RKC provides even to release cargo without inspection is completed. And lastly, but not least, the regional trade agreements. The government of Sri Lanka should look in when they are signing new regional trade agreements to consider these customs formalities which can be favorable to all the participating countries. Thank you very much.
Criticize negatively. Okay, on even though I am not an expert in this area, basically, I think you have done a good job. I can understand that, and I really appreciate it. Basically, any research study must have two types of significance. One is academic significance, the other one is empirical significance. So if I deal with both, if I ask a question, what is the academic contribution, academic significance of the research and the empirical significance?
Well, from the academic side, the revised Kyoto Convention is the base for customs administration, and at present, at master's level, education in the logistics sector, customs law is one module that the student has to follow. So in that particular module, revised Kyoto Convention is the main document to refer. So in this particular study, we have analyzed the revised Kyoto Convention, how it can help the Sri Lankan context in future. From the empirical side, well,
that's great. It seems to be great. Yeah. And basically, if you say one principle, something, one principle, how to, I mean, that process.
One is that.
One main suggestion, something.
Yeah, this is the main suggestion, because this is where people, I think even in Sri Lanka, there was a situation where we heard something called AEOs, that is Authorized Economic Operators, where a consignee can import his cargo without going through the customs formalities. Something called Green Channel, I think you would have heard even people when they are coming, passengers when they are coming out, they come through the green channel. They don't report anything to the customs. They just come out. In the same way, a consignee should be able to clear his goods without any custom formalities. But then how you control? So that is the way. That is, authorized economic operators are the people who has been performing in a country in a very faithful manner to customs. So that is how from this side it goes, and you can see an arrow coming back. So there is a feedback reporting system about that particular account, or rather the consignee, so that when he performs according to the customs regulations in a month, in 6 months, in year, so he becomes an authorized economic operator. So the next year he get a gold card. So through his gold card he can clear his cargo without any formalities. But these formalities will be followed through an audit system. So this is what I think we need in the future, because the way the country is moving forward with logistics, it is very difficult to employ custom officers based on the increase of the logistics in Sri Lanka. The same thing happened in 1998 in USA. This is where Susan Parker has adopted a system similar to this, where she said, okay, we cannot increase, because there was a 15% increase in imports in USA all of a sudden in 1998. So we expect more than that in the near next 5 years. So you cannot increase the number of customs officers to do that. So you need to have systems like this. So this is from the academic side, that what we can see. And the empirical side, of course, there are limitations, because it's a government organization, and getting information and recording the information is a little problematic.
You refer to perception something. So then is there any way, that you adopted to minimize the error, like your stereotyping or something?
Exactly. This is why we wanted to go for depth interviews with officers, and also with the people in the industry, to see, although the indices says this, what the real situation. Because if you take the LPI ranking in 2007, the very first report, I have recorded only 2010 and 2012, but the very first report came in 2007, where we were better than 2010, because you saw a vast improvement from 137 position to 81, but we were at 90 in 2007. So what happened during that period? So the perception is something like that. Empirically you cannot.
Has custom been following something like 360-degree type of evaluation?
I didn't follow.
360-degree type.
Yes.
Getting evaluations from several perspectives, as in from customers, from employees, and then from outsiders.
To tell you frankly, Customs is a very professional organization. The perception in the industry, customs service users, are rather unfavorable, I must say, from the customs side. If you really speak to a custom officer, I think they are very knowledgeable. They love the country. But the general perception is not that. People consider a custom officer in some way which is, I cannot express in a meeting like this, in a forum like this. But now it is changing. Now we have master's degree for customs in Sri Lanka. We have a session from that particular professor who introduced that in Sri Lanka, Professor Stephen Muller. We will have that session in the afternoon. He is from the Canberra University. He was a Sri Lankan. He was a customs officer in Sri Lanka. Now he is a professor at Canberra University. So he is the one who promoted this customs master's degree in Sri Lanka. So now the third batch is going in. So every year you are adding at least 60 to 70 master's degree holders in the customs. So this way I think we are improving in that sense.
So we are towards what we are supposed to.
We are towards
Right.
what we are supposed to do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And indeed, on behalf of the organizing committee and all, so I greatly thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, sir.